This Monday, February 10th, NBA Betting Picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome everyone to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Monday, February 10th. Hangover day / should be a national holiday day / the dust settles on the NFL season and all eyes shift to the NBA, at least those that have not been paying attention. NHL going on, NBA, of course, as far as the major sports, golf season. But from your day-to-day betting perspective, we're here for the NBA for you. Of course, we'll get into all the games here on Monday. Huge card here on Monday, so it should be a pretty good night of hoops. And of course, joining me here to help me break everything down happening on the hardwood, guys know me as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, MLB, WNBA, and of course here on the NBA Gambling Podcast, Scott Studer Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
They're doing pretty well. Of course, feels a bit weird getting into basketball post-NFL because now we have basically no competition, which is pretty fun. Yeah. The point is, the game yesterday was horrible, but either way, nice job by the Eagles to dominate the entire game. Hopefully made some money, whether it involved your bets, squares, whatever you had action on. So overall, can't complain. Made some money last night, but I thought the game itself was pretty lopsided. Let's put it that way.
Speaking of squares, I had a friend who bought 5 squares into a pool and he won all 4 quarters.
How do you? Okay, that's just that's the next level luck right there.
Yeah, that's next level luck there. So he took home a nice $2,000 to win the squares there. So yeah, I mean the game last night wasn't. I mean, right off the gate wasn't even close. But congrats to the Eagles. At least our boss Sean Green is a very happy man because I would not want to deal with a disappointed Sean. I'll say that much for the NFL season. A lot to get to here at least for Monday here, Scott. Got Luka making his debut, I believe, today. Speaking of Luka, Anthony Davis is going to be missing at least a month, possibly from things that I've further read that it could be maybe for the rest of the season if he opts for surgery, but we'll keep our eyes and ears open for that. And then the Mark Williams trade that got rescinded over the weekend. We were talking about it in our little group chat there with myself, you, Lonte, and Terrell. That I think there's something deeper as far as his physical or what was disclosed or not disclosed as far as the injury went with Mark Williams there. But so he's headed back to the Hornets. We'll see how long he's going to be out there. So now it's going to be Jackson Hayes season for the LA Lakers there, Scott. But any thoughts on AD or Mark Williams?
Yeah. Did the Lakers call you up to play center?
Unfortunately, I probably don't even meet the height requirement there for that. Maybe not even there, but we'll see if there's going to be some more buyouts happening. But as far as they didn't call me, I don't know if you got a phone call or not.
I did not. It's also a little bit above my height for the sake of center in the NBA. But yeah, the Lakers are in a weird spot now because not only did the trade end up getting voided, but the trade deadline obviously passed. So there is no plan B. They're just stuck with Jackson Hayes right now. And you can make an argument that they can get some buyout guys or some free agent guys. But there are already a couple centers that already got signed. I know Biyombo ended up going to the Spurs. I'm not saying he would have been the answer.
Right.
But the point is that at least there were some other potential NBA vets. I'll use that term generously, but still, there were guys who had played NBA minutes for seasons before that are no longer available, that were available about a week ago, who the Lakers could have, in theory, got. So, yeah, the issue for the Lakers is still defense. I know that we're going to see how Luka looks either tonight or next game. Seems like there's a decent chance he plays tonight, but you're looking at Reeves, who had 45 over the weekend with no LeBron and no Luka. But you throw him with LeBron, with Luka, and you have Jackson Hayes at center, you got some defensive problems. So we'll see how the Lakers adjust to it, but definitely not what Lakers fans wanted to see. I made a joke at the time that the league rescinded the wrong trade, which I thought was pretty funny. But either way, point is the Lakers are still threats to make noise in the Western Conference playoffs and maybe even beyond for the NBA Finals. But with no real center at this point, it's a serious red flag, is it not?
Yeah, it is 100%. And again, I think that's something we had talked about after they made the trade, that Jackson Hayes is, more so a backup, maybe into the bench type of guy. Now he's going to be relied upon to be the starting center here for the Los Angeles Lakers there. But also think of the note either last night or this morning, kind of going over my head right now, but Giannis is going to miss at least through the All-Star weekend. Not going to play the All-Star weekend. Trae Young will take his spot there with a calf injury. Missed the past couple games there. They're going to keep him out until the All-Star break. So hopefully he's back on the court, after the All-Star break, which I think a lot of the players that are currently sitting out right now, that's the target for a lot of those players to come back after the All-Star break.
Do you think it's a little bit weird? I know Giannis gets hurt every year, so this isn't exactly a shock, but do you think it's a potentially bad look that Giannis got injured winning a regular season in-season tournament? That's kind of when it started, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Like coming out of it, I'm not sure.
Of course, it made some games entertaining, and they tried, and the unders were great for us, especially in that final against OKC. But I'm just wondering, because Giannis is one of the best players. He's hurt all the time. It's why I've been critical of Milwaukee in the past, because I don't trust Giannis' durability. It hurt them in the playoffs last year, but he did get hurt in the in-season tournament. And I have to at least ask if the NBA Cup is even worth it when you think about it.
I think at least from a fan perspective, I think it is, but for player injury / maybe not, but it could have been any other game that he could have got injured to, and as well if it wasn't the NBA Cup.
I know it could have, but it's just weird that the last game he played before all these injury issues started was a game against the Thunder for a trophy where the stats don't actually count.
Right.
Isn't that kind of weird?
Yeah, I would say so. But also Giannis has been relatively healthy compared to some of the other superstars around the league. I know he's only played. Is that true? He's played 60-plus games in every single season of his career. He played 73 last year, 63 prior.
I was going to say, it's apparently, good enough or not good enough for the Mavericks to trade away their best player. I feel like Giannis and Luka miss a pretty similar amount of games every year.
I feel like Luka's a little bit more, but I'll have to look that up a little bit.
It might be, but I'm saying I think it's ballpark close.
Yeah, let's hear.
And Giannis keeps himself in great shape.
Yeah, look, Luka 72, 61, 66, 65, 66, 70 last year.
That's pretty close to what Giannis
Yeah, it pretty is. Yeah, you're right. So it was interesting that what was the first phone call the Dallas Mavericks made was to the Bucks.
To the Bucks to ask about Giannis?
Yeah. And
it also made the most sense because there were rumors that Giannis might leave when the next contract expires and stuff like that. But I feel like it's kind of just I don't want to say a good summary, but at least maybe it's just a take by me, that durability can also just be a case-by-case basis.
Sure.
You could have some guys that don't exactly try that much. I see that, for example, Bass Picks mentioning about Embiid, who needs another surgery. He's been injured a lot. People have questioned his, I'd say, focus and his overall prep work in the offseason to a reason why he's hurt all the time. You have guys like Giannis, who are on the other side of the spectrum, who try and practice all the time. They're in great shape, and they're also hurt a lot.
Right.
So I feel like sometimes it's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, again, Embiid comes back. That first game last Tuesday, casually drops a triple-double. Plays on Friday, plays on Sunday, 27 points. 23 points, 27 points, filled up the stat sheet there as well. So just imagine what this guy would be able to do if he did actually take care of his body and, was healthy throughout the entirety of his career. But we'll see what transpires for Joel Embiid. All right, Scott, a lot of games to get into here for tonight. But just want to remind everybody, since football is over, the NASCAR is back. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Daytona to sign up today for their free Daytona 500 contest to be entered to win a $100 cold hard cash and a $100 SGPN gift card plus random bonus prizes. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Daytona to sign up today. All right, first game on the schedule here we'll get into is going to be the San Antonio Spurs. They are visiting the Washington Wizards. Wizards are catching 11.5 points here at home with a total of 237.5. Looking at the injury report, start here with the San Antonio Spurs. Pretty clean injury report. Everybody is a go. For the Washington Wizards, Keyshawn George is questionable. Chris Middleton, Alex Sarr, Marcus Smart are all out. They're expected to make their debut, I believe this said, was after the All-Star break. So you have your usual guys that are going to be playing the Jordan Pooles, the Corey Kisperts of the world for the Wizards. Wizards catching 11.5 here at home. Scott, total 237.5.
I think the game's actually a bit weird because the Spurs have been laying a lot of points lately, and I believe they've been horrible when they're laying points. They lost outright to the Hornets over the weekend. They were laying about double digits there on that Miles Bridges 3 at the end. The Wizards, I understand, are not good. They traded for Middleton just to sit him, either for rest or for ankle reasons, so probably ankle reasons if I had to guess. But do I want to lay 11.5 with San Antonio? Not really, to be honest. I understand that Fox is going to help this team offensively, and I understand that when Wemby is fully healthy, I know he's battling a respiratory issue over the last couple games, they are tough to fully beat, especially when your center at this point is basically Alex Sarr and you have no backup center. You have Holmes, I guess, who's going to play. But the point is, I think I actually might take the points. 11.5's a lot. The Spurs have not done a good job of covering this big of a number. They might win the game, but it's really just not ideal with Wemby still being below 100%. His three-point shots fallen off a cliff in terms of percentage. I think he went 1 of 9 against the Hornets over the weekend. The first time they played this season, I know Wemby dropped 50, and that game was still close. Spurs only won that game, I think, by 9. I'm going to go with the Wizards plus the points. I'm not saying this team's good, but I don't want to lay this with the Spurs. They've proven time and time again, especially lately, they have a hard time covering as double-digit favorites. It's a lot. Yeah, I'll go with the Wizards.
They get off to good starts, but then the second half is where you see these teams coming back. Case in point, the last 2 games. The Spurs have only won 2 out of their last 6 games as well. And it's a little bit telling that they lost to the Hornets. They lost to the Magic the other night where they had a big lead in the first half.
I forgot to mention that. They were up by a decent amount there in the second half, too. They blew a 20-point lead to the Hawks. They won the game, but they almost lost that game, too. I just can't trust this team to play full 48.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. So if you want to back the Spurs, I would look at them in the first half in this game, and if they are up by a decent margin, I would take the Wizards in the second half, just because, like we mentioned, that they are giving up the points and just not focused for the full 48 minutes. As far as the total goes, I was looking at the over, but it's the fact that do I trust the Wizards to put up enough points to contribute to that over? Like they've put up 111 plus points in 4 straight games. They've put up 119 plus points throughout the last 4 games there as well. So over would be the look here for me as far as the total here. Scott, you have anything else?
I mean, I saw the first meeting land 269. That was pretty dated, though. That was back in November, but I'll go with the over. I see some points here. The Wizards are still giving up a ton. Gave up 125 plus in back-to-back games. I think this total can once again seem high at first glance, but I think it eventually finds a way over. Give me the over. Against the Cavs over the weekend, I think Poole had a career-high 45.
Yeah.
Like, he could have a monster game, too, so I'll go with the over in this one.
All right. Before we get over to the next game on the schedule here, let me tell everyone about SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part is no credit checks, and it's completely free. Sign up today and use the promo code SGPN so you get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's promo code SGPN over at edgeboost.bet. And we're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet every sport, plus props for every game in their live dealer casino. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. Easy easy deposit, and lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right, next game on the schedule we'll get to is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are in Cleveland to take on the Cavs. Cavs laying 9.5 points in this game with a total of 230. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, I'll start here with the with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have questionable tags on Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards. Julius Randle continues to be out, as well as Dante DiVincenzo. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, pretty clean injury report. Isaac Okoro continues to be out, and Dean Wade is out for this game here as well. Cavs laying 9.5 here at home, Scott, with a total of 230.
Yeah, it's really tough because you don't know if you don't know if Ant's going to play. He missed the last game, and that could be a concern. But I think Cleveland is the better team. They're 24-4. They're 42-10 so far this season. Minnesota's been good lately. They've won 3 straight though by at least 13. If Ant plays, I'll take the Timberwolves. If he sits, I'll take the Cavs. It's really tough to break down when Ant was having that much of a heater over the last week. What do you have, like 49 in his last game?
40 plus in 2 straight games, 49. I think that was against the Rockets, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Or was it Portland?
Brooks kept trying to chirp at him, and it didn't really work. But I'll go with, once again, depending on Ant's status, that's going to determine my thoughts on this game for the side. But I think Ant should have a good game. I see people mentioning Mitchell assists. I know he's done very well lately. I think he's had 5+ in 8 straight. So I don't mind Mitchell assists. I think that was 4.5. The over was -105 last night. That might have moved. But I think you're looking at a spot where, if you're looking at current form, Minnesota's been kind of underrated. I think 9.5's a lot of points, but the line's so big, it does seem to suggest Ant has a decent chance of sitting again. So I'll wait to see what the story is with Ant, and then I'll reconsider.
Yeah, 4.5 -135 towards the over now for Mitchell assists. But yeah, you're right. I think even if he does end up playing, I would still look at the Cavs side here. I think just a very complete team, especially with the addition of DeAndre Hunter in that starting rotation there. So they have a great balance of scoring, guys that can protect the rim, guys that can rebound, guys coming off the bench for this team as well. So the roster construction, they've done a fantastic job of over the last couple seasons here. Now I think they're primed to possibly at least make a run in the playoffs here. But as far as this game, with Ant missing, I just think that, or possibly missing, I just think this Cavs are just on another level right now. And this backcourt defense has actually been pretty decent for the Cleveland Cavaliers season long. So this may be a game they could maybe slow them down. But again, it's going to be Ant against 4 or 5 other guys on the Cavs team that can really score the basketball. So I'd lay it here with the Cavs -9.5 against the Timberwolves. As far as the total, again, not going to be able to tell much, obviously, with the status of Anthony Edwards there, but
it's a good win without him, though. I thought Portland was going to win. They were up by double digits, and Minnesota killed them in the fourth quarter. So good for Minnesota winning that game. I'm not sure if that was just a one-off or not, but I do not like their chances if Ant doesn't play. I'll put it that way. So that's
I agree. Yeah. All right, next game on the board. We'll get over to. I forgot to make a graphic for one of these games. Let's go to this game and then I'll come back to the other one. The Boston Celtics there in South Beach to take on the Miami Heat. Boston laying 7 here on the road with a total of 219. Injury report. Start here with Boston. Jaylen Brown is officially questionable for this game. Torrey Craig, Drew Holiday, and that are all out. And then they also have Jason Tatum listed as questionable in this game. So both Brown and Tatum questionable in this game. And then Drew Holiday is out for sure, along with their new signee, Torrey Craig. For the Miami Heat side of things, Josh Christopher is out. And that's as far as players that are out. And then questionable tag on Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Nikola Jovic is probable for this game. Boston laying 7 on the road here, Scott, with a total of 219.
So you mentioned Torrey Craig. I was going to ask if it makes me a bad fan. I don't remember him getting traded to Boston. And then I looked it up, and he wasn't traded to Boston. No, Chicago waived him. I didn't even realize Chicago waived him. So there you go. He was injured, and Chicago gave up. So good piece for Boston, maybe come playoff time. But Either way, point is, for this game, pretty tricky because I think the line was at like 5.5, and now it's at 7.
Yep.
So you're probably going to get either Tatum or Brown. I doubt both of them sit. I'm sure one of them ends up playing. Boston is such an annoying team because when they actually care and when they're focused, they can destroy teams like they did against the Knicks.
Right.
They killed the Knicks over the weekend. And you're wondering where that type of performance is all the time. And they just don't show it because they're clearly coasting until the playoffs. So Boston's still a problem in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there. But for this game, I mean, Boston's kind of owned this team ever since the Heat won that Game 7 where Tatum got hurt in. Boston's kind of killed this team. It's tough because you don't know who's going to play with Tatum and Brown, but if Boston looks even remotely as good as they did over the weekend against the Knicks, they should cover. But it's also a great letdown spot because we've seen this from the Celtics before, and they've had a hard time of actually piecing these dominant performances back to back. So I'm going to take the points in this game. I think it's too many. I think Boston can win by margin, but I've seen them time and time again have great efforts to prove to themselves, I guess. They can still ramp it up. They just don't consistently give that effort and that focus. And Miami, I think, has a decent roster. Decent enough to keep the game somewhat close at home. Boston might win 1-10, but 7's a lot. I'll take the points.
Yeah, you mentioned the letdown spot here for the Celtics after the domination they had against the New York Knicks.
That game was over so fast, by the way.
Yeah, it was first quarter. They outscored them 30-19, and they won every single quarter after that, did the Boston Celtics. 40-point performance there for Jason Tatum. But yeah, it just feels like a classic letdown spot here for the Boston Celtics. And again, we've talked about this a lot. They like to play with their food here. So Miami plus the 7 would be the look here for me as well. Don't have much on the total here, Scott, at 219. You have anything for the total?
I think it would be over pass for me. It just feels like a low total for an offense like Boston that just can once again get hot from 3 and score 120 by themselves. For me, it'd be over or nothing, but it's a really weird game, once again, not knowing which star players are actually going to play for Boston.
Yeah. Boston, when they do have the rest disadvantage, like they do here tonight, they're just 4-8 against the spread, and they are 10-2 towards their team total under when they have the rest disadvantage. So again, it just feels like it's setting up for a classic letdown spot here for the Boston Celtics. All right, one game that I missed that's going to be starting in that 7 o'clock Eastern time window. The Atlanta Hawks, they are going to be visiting the Orlando Magic. Magic laying 5.5 here at home with a total of 222. Injury report for the Atlanta Hawks. Usual suspects are out. Jalen Johnson, Kobe Boofkin.
Trey's been carrying really hard lately.
Yeah, Trey is probable for this game. Orlando Magic side of things, Mo Wagner, of course, out, and doubtful is Jalen Suggs for this matchup. Orlando laying 5.5 here at home, Scott, hosting the Atlanta Hawks. What are your thoughts?
Well, if you want to hear something funny, they're in the same division, and this is the first meeting this season. So
That's
they
wild.
play 4 times in the next 2 months, or in the next month and a half, which I find pretty funny. But for this game, the Magic had a nice win against the Spurs the last time out. It was a very solid comeback. They were getting blown out for about 3 quarters, but they won that game. The issue is you're looking at Atlanta, and they've actually been decent lately. They've won 3 of their last 4. Beat Milwaukee. Yes, Giannis didn't play. Still a nice win. Beat Washington. That team stinks. Still a nice win nonetheless by 14. Beat the Pistons with that Trey game winner. They've been fine lately. They only lost in the last week was to the Spurs by 1 point. So they've actually been playing well. Orlando, though, has been a mess. They beat the Spurs, but it took a miraculous effort in the fourth quarter. Orlando's been very good at home. Like, they can win this game, but do I want to lay 5.5? No. Banchero had the game winner against San Antonio. He's been horrible, efficiency-wise, since coming back from injury. I'm going to take the points. I think 5.5 is way too many points, is it not? I mean, Orlando's found ways to win some games recently, kinda. The Kings no-showed one game defensively, and they had a nice comeback against the Spurs, but I just haven't seen the same, coincidentally, pun intended, magic that I saw from this team in the first half of the year and I feel like Orlando is overvalued now. Am I supposed to be suddenly like crowning this team as being the first half team again because they beat the Spurs in comeback fashion by a point or by
Mhm.
2 points? Like, I don't think they're worthy of laying 5.5. Atlanta's been hot. They have size and they can give this team some problems. I know Franz and Boncaro can have some pretty good matchups against these wings that Atlanta has or lack thereof because they have so many injuries or trades for trade with DeAndre Hunter, for example. But they've
Mhm.
been winning. I think
Yeah.
5.5 is way too many points for Orlando right now. I don't trust them. I'll take Atlanta plus the 5.5.
Yeah, coincidentally, the Magic in the first half at home when they're favored are just 5-11-1 ATS, but they're 11-6 as a home favorite for the full game. So that just tells me they get off to these slow starts and they have to make their halftime adjustments and then come back. So I would look at the Hawks early in this spot here. Like you mentioned, their size up front, even without Jalen Johnson and some of these other guys, I think could give them fits a little bit. And again, they're just very reliant on their two front court players in Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. And again, if one of those guys has a bad night or a bad shooting night at least, then I think that's just going to play into the hands of the Atlanta Hawks. Or you mentioned Trae Young, who's been playing very, very well for this Hawks team, to say the least. And they've been having a lot of success offensively as well. You take a look at their last several games here, they've been putting up 120 plus points without a lot of effort. 125 against the Wizards, 115 against the Hawks, 125 against the Spurs, 132 against Detroit, 127 against the Pacers. So offensive is not the problem. It's just defensively that's been the theme for this Atlanta Hawks team over the past several seasons, that they really haven't been able to lock it on the defensive side there. And again, for this Magic team, offensively, like I mentioned, it's just the question marks that you have, because prior to them putting up 112 points against the Spurs, and they come from behind effort, for their 5 previous games that scored at less than 100 points.
The
So
Kings game was a complete outlier, by the way.
yeah, and that's why I didn't mention, because we know the Kings don't play any type of defense there. But they put up 90 against the Blazers, 99 against the Jazz, who we know are a very bad defensive team, 90 against the Denver Nuggets. That was a back-to-back situation after they put up 130 plus points. But yeah, I think that the Hawks are the play for me in the first half. And I would honestly look at the under in this game, or maybe like a Magic team total under. I mean, I know defensively the Hawks haven't been very good, but that's what I would look at the total in this game. You have anything for the total?
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably somewhere in that Orlando team total potential under, but
Yeah.
it's also tricky because, as you said before, Atlanta doesn't guard anybody. But you're looking at the actual projected number for the Hawks if they were to go over, and they probably need like 115, give or take. It's a decent amount for this Orlando team. Like
Right.
that's a decent amount of points.
Yeah.
So, maybe Orlando gets it going, but as you said before, if one of their main two guys has an off night, they don't have many other options.
Right.
Now, I see Darian asking why Orlando didn't make any moves. If you wanted my guess, first of all, they should have. They have no 3-point shooting at all. Like, they should
Yeah.
have made a move for a shooter. I think my logic would be the Orlando front office saw how good the team was when Paolo and Franz were healthy, and also Suggs got hurt, that they thought to themselves, you know what? If all of our guys are healthy, we got a shot at this. And our big addition is going to be Franz and Paolo coming back from injury. I
Yeah.
think that was their thought process. Do I agree with it? No. I think their 3-point shooting's abysmal. I believe
Mhm.
they're the worst 3-point shooting team in the entire league.
Wouldn't be
I think
surprised.
they are by a decent margin, actually. They don't really have anybody that can shoot. I know Suggs had some moments here. If you want to talk about Cole Anthony, he is definitely streaky, but he's a shooter. They drafted Jett Howard a couple years ago to be a 3-point shooter. He barely plays.
Yeah.
They had a little bit of Houston in there. They really don't have many like actual marksmen. They
Yeah.
got Caldwell Pope. That really has not worked out that well. They should have traded for at least one shooter. But I think in their minds, with Paolo and Franz being healthy, that was their main addition right before the trade deadline. And they decided to just chill, which I think is dumb, but I think that's the logic they had.
Yeah, and I think that this is a team that's definitely, it's just a bunch of guys. I mean, in the backcourt there, right? Like Jalen Suggs, we saw he had moments prior to the injury there, but I think they are either gonna have to go out and get a shooter or have a star player in their backcourt to complement with Franz Wagner. and Banchero, because you just can't rely on both of those two guys every single night to go out there and perform.
Is that like I know Houston's better off right now standings wise, but is that like a Houston thing where they're just looking at the roster going, let's see how far this current core can take us, and then we'll make some moves? Because I really don't know what the thought process is for Orlando. Houston was linked to some guys. It just didn't work out in the end.
Right.
Orlando wasn't linked to anybody. They just stole a page from the Florida Marlins over the offseason. They didn't do anything. So I'm just wondering, like, do you think that Orlando will eventually pull the trigger? Because from what I remember with this franchise, they really aren't that aggressive that often.
Yeah, and I think that for the Orlando Magic, it's going to come to the realization for that front office that they're going to have to go out and make some type of move for a star player, because what's their ceiling? Last year they got to the game 7 against the Cavs, was it?
Yeah. They were up by like 19 and they blew it.
Yeah, in the first half, a second round appearance, and that's pretty much going to be it. But they have the pieces in place, something similar to the Rockets, but the Rockets have, like you mentioned, have been linked to guys that they want to go out and get as far as superstar type of players.
And they spent money in the past on like Brooks and Van Vliet. They spent money on some guys. Orlando spent money on one guy in Caldwell Pope, and they really haven't done anything else. Everybody else they have that we think is solid, they drafted.
Yeah, so I think that they're going to either have to build through the draft or, I don't know what their cap situation is, but I think that's going to have to be the construction of this roster for the Orlando Magic team, or at least adding to it, I should say, with Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. All right, Scott, before we continue the conversation here for the Monday card, just want to tell everybody about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. NBA, NHL, college basketball, whatever your sport, you can cash in big ways with Underdog Fantasy. And Jay, just because the NFL season's over doesn't mean a thing. We're still here with our NBA Underdog Fantasy entry. Stay tuned at the end of the episode. Scott and I will put together our Underdog Fantasy entry for the Monday card. So sign up with promo code NBA SGPN. Claim your special pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure you have promo code NBA SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered back sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, where at Rhythm build a model for you. And NFL picks, NFL props, college basketball, and NBA, Rhythm has it all. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Plenty of games to get to here still. We got the Charlotte Hornets. They are in Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Scott has courtside seats to this game.
I should. I'm sure it's cheap as hell.
The Nets laying 4 points with a total of 212 in this game. Injury report for the Charlotte Hornets. Not yet one submitted because they did play yesterday, I believe, on Sunday. Against the Pistons they played yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Kate had a triple-double.
Yeah, 112-102 loss for the Hornets, so they get that extra time. For the Brooklyn Nets side of things, Bojan Bogdanovic is out. Noah Clowney is out. D'Anthony Milton, of course. Cam Thomas all continue to be out. D'Angelo Russell is questionable, and Nick Claxton is available for the Brooklyn Nets. Nets laying 4 here at home. Scott, total of 212. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first thoughts, I see a comment in the chat from Boston asking if it's the toilet bowl and if there's a sound effect required. The Nets have been okay lately, but based on record, I think I have to play it. Is that fair?
Fair.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting game because the last time we saw these teams play, I believe LaMelo got benched. Because he was just doing nothing defensively the entire game. They benched him.
Shocker.
For this matchup, though, the Nets have been playing better. Cam Johnson's healthy again. D'Angelo Russell's been fine with the team. Been streaky. He's had some moments, though. Had the game winner against your team, actually. Started to bring up bad memories. But Charlotte had a nice win against the Spurs. With LaMelo coming back, he had a great game. Miles Bridges had the game-winning 3 in the corner. Do I want only 4 with the Nets? Not really. I think the Nets can win this game with actually the possibility of not covering. I know that's threading a needle, but I think it can be a one-possession game late. I don't mind maybe Nets 1-10. I still don't trust Charlotte. Mark Williams, though, might not play now. Like, he went from
Yeah.
having a couple of really good games to him being on the shelf indefinitely in the span of 2 seconds. So, I don't really know how that works, but they don't have any centers, and that's kind of a problem. Like, Claxton, I'm not saying is good, but at least he gives the Nets some size. They have some depth centers as well. Charlotte has nothing, because right now they have Diabate, who's questionable. So they actually don't know who's going to play center for this team. Nurkic is questionable, so I'm sure he forgot he's on the team at this point
Yeah.
because he got sent to basketball purgatory in Charlotte. But for this matchup, I think I actually am going to go with the. I think I'll go with the Nets, actually. I feel like even though the Hornets are going to have LaMelo probably in Bridges, the Nets have played good defense lately. They've really bought in to their coach, and I feel like that's a testament to how good the coaching staff actually is. This team has 18 wins already, and I think their win total this season was like 19 and a half or 20 and a half. The Nets have been pretty decent this year based on expectations. The Hornets, you could argue, with the star power, should win this game, but I find it interesting that LaMelo and Bridges are projected to play, and the line's gone up. It went from like 3 to 4.
Mhm.
I like the Nets. I like how they play defense. I think this team can actually kind of buckle down defensively when needed, and Charlotte really can't do that. Plus, you said before, Charlotte played yesterday. A lot of guys played a lot of minutes. Things a bad spot for Charlotte. I'll take the Nets -4.
Yeah, I just don't trust the Hornets in this spot here. Back-to-back situations, they're just 2-6 straight up. However, they are 6-2 ATS, but like you mentioned, that this Nets team has bought in on the defensive side of the basketball. And when we talk about these teams that are playing, I don't know, quote unquote, into the bench guys or G League guys, like the effort level is going to be there for these type of teams because they're potentially playing for a roster spot, whether it's on this team or another team next year. So it's not like they're going to, go out there and give a subpar effort. So unlike the LaMelo Balls and the Miles Bridges of the world that have their contract locked up. So
On a back-to-back.
yeah, and on a back-to-back here as well. So I'll go. I like the Nets here as well. I think this line may be fishy for some folks, but I think the Nets are the side here. I'll take the Nets here -4. You have anything for the total at 212?
It's really tricky because the Hornets don't guard anybody, but the Nets actually guard everybody. So it's kind of a weird balancing act here. I don't have much
Yeah.
for this game. It's tough to fully evaluate the first meeting months ago because I said before, LaMelo got benched for about an entire quarter in
Yeah.
that game. And that game ended up landing 187. First game, though, was 231. So it's kind of balanced out. I think it's over a pass for me, but I'm probably not going to bet it.
All right. It probably will be cheaper for you to get into the building, Scott, than to take a Uber ride to Barclays Center.
By the way, I
to
think I
stay that much.
misspoke. LaMelo got benched in the first game. The
Mhm.
second game, LaMelo did not play. So that's why it
Okay.
was 187, because LaMelo wasn't even on the court. So when LaMelo did play this season in the
Mhm.
one head-to-head meeting, it landed 231.
Fair enough. All right, next game on the board, we'll get over to the New Orleans Pelicans. They are visiting the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder laying anywhere from 15.5 to 16 in this game with a total of 236. Injury report. Start here with the Pelicans. Bruce Brown, Herb Jones, DeJounte Murray, Kelly Olynyk all out. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, I should say. Guys that are out are AJ Mitchell, Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, and that's pretty much it. Chet did make his return for this Oklahoma City Thunder team in their last game. So,
Get 4 blocks.
yeah, team relatively healthy. Just missing some bench depth there, but they are hosting the wounded Pelicans here, laying 16 at home, Scott.
Yeah, it's a pretty weird game for me because the Thunder are laying about 15 plus in every game at this point. The Raptors covered over the weekend, so I'm happy about that, but I feel like it's a pretty big spread. I understand the Pelicans are terrible. They're 4-22 on the road. It's really tough for me to want to lay 15.5 in the NBA because the Thunder might mess around. I want to check the schedule quickly because the only reason why I like Toronto over the weekend was because they played the Grizzlies the day after. Day off and they play Miami afterwards at home. Not really a look at spot there. It's tough for me, but I think I'll go with OKC. I've given the Pelicans so much crap this season for having no center at all. Missy, I think, is a talented rookie. Really not enough offensive talent for me.
Right.
He can't really do anything in terms of creating his own offense besides getting some putbacks or some rim runs where he's wide open. But you have, once again, Chet. You have Hartenstein. Zion's going to go to the rim, but you have multiple rim protectors there to meet him. Do I really like the other options for New Orleans? No. I mean, McCollum could have a solid game, but I know the Thunder's defense is great on the perimeter. Trey Murphy's, I think, going to be a matchup problem for the Thunder. They might put Dort on him. We'll see what happens there. But I guess I'm going Thunder because the Pelicans are 4-22 on the road, and they seem to no-show a quarter minimum every game. The first home game this season, the Thunder beat them by 18. So I guess it's Thunder for me, but I'll probably not bet this game. But I don't want to take the Pelicans because this team constantly no-shows road games.
Yeah. I can't trust the Pelicans here. What you mentioned with Zion playing in this game, that even if he does attack the rim, you still have Chet there. You have Isaiah Hartenstein there to, defend the rim. And then they're probably going to make you shoot jump shots in this game, are the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, I mean, this team is going to be scary now. Obviously, with Chet being back defensively, they're going to be really good. Alex Caruso's back as well. He's been dealing with injuries for the Thunder team, but relatively healthy are this Thunder team. So I think they continue rolling here. I think my more favorite play might just be like the Thunder team total over.
Yeah.
Pelicans defense hasn't been very good to say the least this season. We know what the Thunder offense can do, led by SGA. And they have guys coming off the bench that can, put the ball in the basket there. Now with Chet back, that gives you another addition as far as scoring wise, at least inside the paint and in the close range there. So, yeah, my favorite play, I think Thunder team total over. It's a big number, but I'm not afraid of it. That's my favorite play in this game. You have anything for the total?
For the total, I agree with you. I'd go with Thunder team total over. Shea might walk into 35 in the first 3 quarters of this game. But
yeah,
the thing about Zion, and the reason why I am still skeptical of New Orleans, is that Zion had 40 against the Kings last game, and they still lost.
Yeah.
Like, Zion gave you 40 and you still couldn't win the game. That's probably a bad sign. But the Thunder are toying with teams because they were messing around against Toronto. They won, didn't cover. Then Chet sat the game after, and they killed Memphis. They went into Memphis and led for basically the entire game by double digits. So the Thunder are just so far ahead of almost every other team in the West right now. You could argue the Lakers in the playoff series will get there, but still, right now the Thunder are easily the best team in this conference by a mile. And the fact that they went into Memphis without their arguably second or third best player, and they still won the game by double digits, is a problem for the rest of the Western Conference. This team is nuts. So I'll go with the Thunder minus 16.
Yeah, after winning 4 games in a row for the Pelicans, they've now lost 8 straight games. And again, defensively, just have not been very good. They've given up 123 plus points in 3 straight games. Give 137 to Dallas back a few weeks ago. So, yeah. All right, next game on the board, we'll go with the Golden State Warriors. They are in Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. Warriors laying 6.5 here on the road with a total of 231.5. Injury report for the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry is questionable. Jonathan Kuminga continues to be out. Milwaukee did play yesterday in Philly, where they did take the L. Bucks won at home yesterday against Philly, I should say, 135-127. Obviously, we talked about Giannis at the top of the show. He's going to be missing at least through the All-Star break with the calf injury, so no Giannis here. Maybe you pivot towards, of course, Bobby Portis, but Warriors laying 6.5 here at home, Scott. On the road in Milwaukee. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, at first glance, the spread feels very high, like dangerously high, like Dame might not play high. That's kind of how I feel about it, because Dame played a bunch of minutes yesterday. I think he had, 41, 8, and 8 or something. He had a monster game.
Yeah, he played 44 minutes yesterday, 43 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists.
Played 44 minutes yesterday. Who's his coach? Thibodeau? Like, I think that he's probably not going to play in this game, if I had to guess, right? Doesn't
he's been dealing with that groin injury as well.
I was going to say, though, 6.5 feels very high for a road team when Milwaukee just won yesterday. Like, Milwaukee's been good even without Giannis. Portis has been good and accept all that stuff, but I think Dame might not play. Okay. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but it feels like he might not play. Butler played 1 game. They killed Chicago. They were getting killed. And then it went on, I think it was a 56-15 run in the second and third quarter. It was crazy how that game completely flipped. Butler, I guess, found his joy again for basketball because he killed Chicago.
Yeah.
Then again, Chicago uses 4 point guards in their starting lineup. So I don't know if that actually is a good comparison to use for this, but I think I might actually go Warriors in this game. maybe Warriors halftime, full-time. Maybe it's a hot take. I think Dame has a decent chance of not playing. 6.5 really suggests that somebody's sitting on Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know about Giannis, but 6.5. When I first glanced at this game, I was like, why is it they? Even when I knew that Giannis wasn't playing in this game,
Yeah,
I feel like you mentioned 6.5. It just felt like a big number here for
it's
the
in
Warriors.
Milwaukee at least. You figure it'd be like 3.5 or something.
Yeah,
6.5 is where it opens. So I'm assuming Dame, off a bad groin, playing 44 minutes and a 40 piece, might have a decent chance to sit. More
yeah,
decent than people might think. And I feel like the line suggests that.
right. So even with Curry questionable, they still have this at 6.5 here. But I think this is the time where the Warriors need to get on a run. And I think they came out and said that themselves. They're sitting at 500 right now at 26-26 with about what 28 games ago, 30 games ago.
30.
Yeah, 30 games ago. So Butler, like you mentioned, that great debut for the Warriors. 29 minutes, he scored 25 points against the Chicago Bulls. That was against his former team, coincidentally. But yeah, I'd look towards the Warriors here as well. It's just, I don't know.
This line feels so sketchy.
Yeah, I'm just going to stay away for now until I get more injury news in this game. But as far as the show goes, I'll pick the Warriors here minus 6.5. Anything for the total?
For the total, I think I would consider going with the over, but it's tough to know who's going to play for Milwaukee in this game. So maybe Warriors team total over, maybe. But I mean, I'll ask you, if I told you that Dame was not going to play and Giannis was not playing, what would you set the Warriors spread to? I think it'd be around here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like I was thinking like -7, minus.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you figure based on how Milwaukee's played lately, yeah, I forgot about Kuzma. Yeah, that's right. Kuzma's on the Bucks. It's going to take some getting used to. You get what I'm trying to say, though. It feels like if Dame was playing, this line would be like 3.5 or 3. The fact that Curry's questionable and it's at 6.5 tells me Milwaukee might bench the entire team after yesterday.
Yeah, I would think so as well, especially them getting the victory yesterday. Bobby Portis, in the absence of Giannis, has been, of course, fantastic as usual. Trying to see his points and rebounds if the prop is up right now for him. It's at 27.5, which feels a little bit low. 23-17, 26-15, and 18-13 over his last 3 games for the Milwaukee Bucks. I think he came out. He didn't start in the game against Philly. He came off the bench. Typically, he's been starting there, but he did play 30 minutes for the Bucks yesterday. Finished the game, like I mentioned, with 18 points and 13 rebounds. All right, let's keep it moving here. Next game on the board, we got the Sacramento Kings. They are in Dallas to take on the Mavericks. Mavericks are laying a point here in this game with a total of 237.5. Looking at the injury report for the Sacramento Kings side of things, they are a healthy squad. Nobody of significance on there. For the Dallas Mavericks, guys that are questionable are Max Christie and Dante Exum and PJ Washington. So Christie, Exum, and PJ Washington all are questionable here today. Players that are confirmed out, of course, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Caleb Martin, and Dwight Powell. So a little bit thin up front outside of Daniel Gafford in this game here, Scott. But Mavericks laying a point here at home against the Kings.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted. The first half with Anthony Davis was really fun, but that's kind of where it ended because now he's out indefinitely. We're back to where we started. This team has no centers at all. And PJ Washington's injured too. So he sprained his ankle. Will he play? I have no idea. To be honest, I doubt it. Ankle sprains when he was already missing games right before it are probably not a good combo there for him to rush back from injury. I think that Washington sits personally, but we'll see what happens. But they have Gafford, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what else do they have at this
That's
point? It's a bad matchup for when you're looking at Sabonis, who might walk into 20 rebounds for this game. That was my first thought. Sabonis rebounds in this game is kind of where I first went. But I feel like Dallas arguably shouldn't be favored in this game. The Kings have not been playing well recently since the trade. It makes sense. They got to adjust to life with Levine. But you're looking at the Mavericks, and Christie's been really, really good.
Yeah.
And he might not play either. That's a problem. It feels like an absolute coin flip to me. Both teams I'm skeptical of defensively. Both teams I think are really not trustworthy based on their current rosters. My first thought was the over because I don't see much defense being played. So I'll go with the over in this game. but Dallas has so many guys either on the shelf or they might be on the shelf for this game. I don't want to bet them. The Kings might not be good, but at least I know who's playing for the most part for this team. I'll take the Kings, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I think it would be Kings for me as well. It's just the fact that these Kings have players that can attack the basket. And if they don't settle for jump shots like the Malik Monks, the Zach Levines, and actually attack the basket, then get easy looks there. I know they have Daniel Gafford.
If he ever gets into foul trouble, though, they're dead.
Exactly. That was going to be my next point, that he gets into foul trouble a lot. Then they're really screwed at that point. So, yeah, Kings would be the look here for me. I agree about what you mentioned about the total in this game, 237.5. I like the over. I don't see a lot of defense being played, especially with Sacramento struggling on that side of the basketball thus far. So, over would be my favorite play in this game, 237.5. Sabonis rebounds are currently listed at 13.5 in this game, of course. I think there was a game like last week or the week prior where he was listed at like 16.5, if I wasn't mistaken, which was absolutely wild to see. You have anything else for this game?
Yeah, I thought about Gafford blocks, actually, at 2.5. You mentioned before the Kings have a lot of guys that attack the basket. If you want to actually look at his head-to-head numbers, he's had 3+ blocks in 3 of the last 4 games against the Kings. In the first meeting of the season back in late December, he had 5 in 27 minutes. So I don't mind that angle. Think that he's in a good spot. 2.5's -105, and yes, foul trouble can be a concern, but Gafford has to play a lot when you factor in all the injuries they have.
Yeah.
I was hoping for an alta line on Gafford blocks, but I didn't see it posted. But the 2.5 and -105 I actually like.
All right. 2 games left on the schedule. Let's go with the Portland Trailblazers. They are visiting the Denver Nuggets in the Mile High City. Denver currently laying 9.5 in this game with a total of 230.5. Looking at the injury report for this game, for the Portland side of things, Jeremy Grant, Chris Murray, and Robert Williams III are all questionable tonight. Matisse Thybulle continues to be out, and that's pretty much it. For the Denver side of things, players that are confirmed out will be Russell Westbrook, Peyton Watson, let's see, Dalton Holmes II, and
Porter Jr. is a maybe, but
yeah. And then questionable tag on Michael Porter Jr. and probable tags on Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. So keep your eye out for Michael Porter Jr. in this game. Denver laying 9.5 here, Scott, total of 230.5.
It feels like a high spread, but Denver's been incredible lately. But so is Michael Porter Jr., and he might not play. So Portland, I don't know what that fourth quarter was against Minnesota. I thought they were going to win the game. Once Ant gets ruled out, you're like, okay, Portland's up double digits. The game's over. They got smacked in that fourth quarter. So I don't know what that was, but 9.5's a lot of points. Portland did win the only head-to-head meeting, by the way. They won by 2 months ago, but still. That was back in, trying to pull it up. They won back in December. I'll take the points. I don't feel great about it, but I think Denver wins a close game. Give me Denver 1-10. Maybe it's because I recognize how good Porter Jr. has been. He played so well, they took him off the actual trade block because he was just having a monster couple of games there. But he might not play, and I think that Portland has some depth. I like the front court depth. I know Robert Williams got hurt again. What else is new? But you're looking at the injury report, and Robert Williams is questionable. Still have Ayton. They still have Klingon. I like their overall size in the interior. Simons has been good lately. Avdia has been kind of up and down, but when he's on, I think he's very solid. Kamara has been phenomenal defensively. Kamara is one of the most underrated defensive players in the entire league. He's must-watch on defense. Give me Portland plus the 9.5. Think that they can hang in there. Not picking Denver to once again to lose the game, but I don't mind Denver 1-10.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with this game.
I'm probably not going to bet it, but maybe
Denver
triple-double at -110.
Yeah, look, I mean, like you mentioned, Denver has been playing good basketball. I know that Phoenix game, they didn't have Kevin Durant or Bradley Beal when they played Denver. Phoenix played Denver the other night. Portland has been, maybe that luster's falling off a little bit here after their winning streak that they had at home. But they've actually been pretty decent, at least ATS wise, according to their record, as an away underdog this season. 13 and 11 are the Blazers against the spread when they're road underdogs thus far this year. Nuggets are 12 and 8 ATS as home favorites in those spots. Yeah, I think the 1-10 look is probably the best look, like you mentioned, Scott. But I would not be surprised if Denver does, in fact, win by double digits here. So, gun to my head, I would lay it here with Denver. Like you mentioned, Michael Porter Jr. turned into the D'Angelo Russell of last year, where D'Lo
He's
was
on the block
absolutely
and he just started dropping 30
yeah,
every game at that
yeah.
point. But
I don't have much for the total. You have anything for the total?
it's tough because Portland is so good defensively,
Yeah,
except for the last game with no Ant, and they just gave up a bunch of points. But
yeah.
the first game between them landed 250, but that was back when Portland wasn't actually guarding anybody. I'll go under
All
because
right.
Portland offensively has not been that great.
Yeah.
Portland scored less than 109 in back-to-back games, and one was against the Kings on a back-to-back. They won the game, but they only scored 108. They only give up 89 to Indiana. Like, this team defensively is good. Offensively, they can be up and down. They're a pretty good under team right now. I think 230.5 is actually a lot for Portland. I'll go with the under.
All right. Last game of the night, the Utah Jazz. They are visiting the Lakers in LA tonight. Lakers laying 12.5 in this game with a total of 234.5. Injury report for the Utah Jazz. Taylor Hendricks, KJ Martin, and Colin Sexton are all out tonight. For the LA Lakers, supposed to be the debut of Luka for this Lakers team. He's officially listed as questionable right now on the injury report, along with LeBron. Austin Reeves is probable. And of course, Maxi Kleba and Christian Wood are out for this game. And for what it's worth, Bronny James listed as doubtful. Lakers laying 12.5 here, Scott, with a total of 235.
Tell you right now, if Luka does not play in this game, ESPN's going to riot.
Yeah.
To put
Yeah.
back-to-back games on for the Lakers, and Luka didn't play in either of them. But is he going to play? We have no idea. Luka has not appeared in the game in, what, like 2 months at this point?
Yep.
It was Christmas. So, yeah, it's been basically 2 months. It's really tough because the Lakers defensively, let's assume Luka plays. They should be a mess on defense.
Mm-hmm.
However, they've been winning a bunch of games lately. Reeves had a monster game against Indiana, and they've been scoring a bunch of points. So first glance, over. Because I don't trust either team to guard anybody in this game. The Lakers have been playing very good basketball, but Luka is a completely different component of the offense that they have to adjust to because he's very ball-centric. So is LeBron, and there's only one ball to go around.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's going to work swimmingly to start. I think eventually they'll figure it out offensively because they're two, all-time great players. But first game back, it's a lot of points. Utah team total over.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I think we do end up seeing points in this game. I don't even know where to go with the Luka thing. Is he going to be ball dominant? Is he going to be playing off the ball? I don't know what the game plan is going to be for the Lakers. And
even his minutes. What's he getting?
Yeah,
25,
that's what I was going to mention. How many minutes is he going to play? Because he hasn't played in about 2+ months here since he was with the Mavs before he got traded to the Lakers. His last game was on, in fact, Christmas Day against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So he hasn't played since Christmas. So, as far as a spread, I think Jazz can hang around. I really do. I just think
that's kind of where I'm at. I really don't want to lay 12.5 without knowing exactly what to expect from the Lakers with these two guys together.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll take Jazz here. I'll take the over for the game here. I think this is I think for a lot of the bettors or even just fans, it's going to be kind of sit back and watch and see what Luka looks like next to LeBron after missing number one 2+ months and number two being with a brand new team in his first game here. So I think the Jazz can keep this close. Cover the total. You got anything else for this game?
I actually like Walker Kessler points. It's at 10.5.
Okay.
He's had 12+ in each of the last two games against the Lakers. He has had at least, going through the numbers here, he's had at least 11 points in 7 of the last 10. But Jackson Hayes is still their center. They don't actually have any other centers right now. So I think it's a good matchup for Kessler. I don't mind his points. It's plus money at plus 105.
Yeah, one of the profitable angles has, at least for me, been over the past couple games, has been Collier assist. That number is, I think, now has been adjusted by the books. It's around, was that 7.5? I think on Saturday night, was it? When we were talking on the Discord about it. But right now it's up to 8.5 now. But shop around, probably get a juice 7.5 for Isaiah Collier. Luca props, just to mention, on Underdog got posted. His numbers are sitting at 27 points on his points projection. Where did it go? Just had it in front of me. 27.5 was points. PRA's at 42.5, 7.5 assists, and 7.5 rebounds for Luca here tonight. So we'll see.
There's no chance to take the over on those points, by the way, with him maybe playing like 25 minutes. There's no chance.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so that is the last game of the night. 2 orders of business left. That's going to be our lock and dog and their Underdog Fantasy entry. Scott, you want to lead us off?
Sure. So for my lock, actually, I'm going to go to the last game we just talked about. I like the price a lot on, I think it's on BetMGM, actually. Give me Kessler over 10.5 points against the Lakers. Once again, he's had 12 plus in each of the last 2 games against them. And of course, AD was on that team, pretty good rim protector over there. Kessler offensively has kind of found a certain gear. He's had 15 plus points in back-to-back games. He has had 11 plus points in 7 of the last 10. He's playing well. No offense to Jackson Hayes, but not exactly sold on his defense. I know he's got some athleticism, but Kessler is also bigger than him. I think he might get some putback layups, but I can see Hayes being one of those centers, because I've seen it before, kind of like, I don't want to say a Whiteside type, but he chases blocks a lot, where he kind of abandons his guy under the basket to block. And I could see a lot of putback dunks by Kessler in this game. Give me Kessler points at 10.5. Give me the over at plus 105 as my lock. For my dog, I would have taken something with Gafford, actually, for his alt blocks, but there is no line for that, so I'll have to go with something a bit different. Do I want to go for a 1 to 10 in this upcoming card? Maybe I do. I just want to see which game I want to choose from for this one. I think the Spurs are going to win, but I don't know if I want to actually take that. Let me just quickly see what I could find for the price on something. Do you want to go while I pull up something?
Yeah, so for my lock is a game that we talked about, the Kings and the Mavericks, just not expecting to see a lot of defense being played in this game. So I like the over. It's at 236.5 right now, currently over on DraftKings. Even obviously without Anthony Davis, you still have Kyrie out there. Clay can contribute as well. If Matt Christie ends up playing in this game, that's fantastic, because like Scott mentioned, he's been playing really well for this Mavericks team. Kings not playing any type of defense, and they have guys that can put the ball in the basket, right? Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, if he's able to find a shooting form. You even have Sabonis, down low, that should have success in the case of Daniel Gafford getting into foul trouble. But even if he is out there non-foul trouble, I think that he can struggle a little bit there. So I think both teams can contribute to the over here. So I do like the over 236.5 as my lock. For my dog, so quick note here, Boston, both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did not participate in shoot-around. So I think that's an indication that they probably won't end up playing.
I see the spread is down to 5, by the way.
Yeah, and I hate to give out the Miami Heat money line bet now as my dog, but I think that's my favorite dog of the day here. Miami obviously more healthy here. After the trade of Jimmy Butler, you added Andrew Wiggins, who is having a pretty great season. I think Bam should have a big game. Tyler Hero's been fantastic this season as well. Terry Rozier going up against his former team, if that's any merit or means anything to him. But I think they can, get the victory here. I think this is a big letdown spot here for Boston, coming off of the thrashing against the New York Knicks on Saturday night. And again, possibly looking like without both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown here tonight for the Boston Celtics. So with all that being said, I'll take the Miami Heat money line plus 160 as my dog for the day.
All right. So for my dog, I actually think I'm going to go with I'll do a 1 to 10. Why not? I'll trust my instincts from the actual card, and I think you're going to end up seeing a pretty entertaining game between these teams. You could argue that maybe I'm a little bit biased because this team's been good to me personally lately over the last couple weeks, but I think Portland has a shot to cover the spread and maybe even threaten to win the game. I'm not picking them to win, but I think I am going to go with Denver 1 to 10 in this game. It's at 9.5, but Denver 1 to 10 is at plus 182. I like that price. Portland won the first game a couple months ago. Porter Jr. might not play. I do think that Joker will be too much to handle down the stretch, which is why I am picking Denver to win the game. But I think 1 to 10 is reasonable, and I think I like the price quite a bit. Give me the Nuggets once again 1 to 10 for win margin at plus 182 as my dog.
All right. Last order of business will be our Underdog Fantasy entry here for tonight. Again, underdogfantasy.com. Make sure you get there if you haven't already. Promo code NBA SGPN. First time deposit offer up to $1,000 on 50% deposit bonus, just say up to $1,000 for new account users. All right, Scott, where do you want to go here for tonight?
Do you want to start off with Kessler?
Yeah, I like Kessler here tonight. Should have a pretty decent game here for the Utah Jazz side of things.
He's at 15 plus in back-to-back games. He's playing well.
Yeah, let's see. Walker Kessler. All right, so we'll go points higher. 10.5. It's at 1.08x. What else you got?
I'll ask you. Is there anything else you want?
You want to go Portis?
We can, unless you think he potentially sits.
Yeah, that's a point as well. Let me go back to the schedule.
Well, I saw it was mentioned before. I don't mind Donovan Mitchell assists.
Oh yeah, that was the one. Donovan Mitchell
should be a 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. It's at 0.92x, but Walker Kessler makes up for it. And then let's throw in one more here. You want to go like Sabonis rebounds or something in that Dallas end?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm trying to think of like who else is going to threaten to rebound on Dallas if Washington doesn't play. They don't really have anybody that I think can rebound. I mean, Sabonis at 13.5, but he had 16 last game against Dallas, and that was the only meeting this season. So that was actually my runner-up for my dog. I actually thought about taking Sabonis alt rebounds. But I think 13.5 is actually pretty realistic. So, yeah, I don't mind the higher on that.
All right. So, excuse me. We'll throw that in there. All right. So our entry for Monday night on Underdog Fantasy entry will be Walker Kessler, higher, 10.5 points. Donovan Mitchell, higher, 4.5 assists. And then we'll go Sabonis of the Sacramento Kings, higher, 13.5 rebounds. That gets you close to 6x, 5.96 officially on the entry here for tonight. So every $10 that you do put in, you'll get a return of $59.60 courtesy of Underdog Fantasy. All right, that's going to do it here for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Big schedule here on the Monday night card. Hopefully it's a good one. More importantly, we hopefully did find some more winners for you guys to start the week off post Super Bowl and the NFL season. Scott, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
Trying to remember the schedule. I'm back tomorrow with Terrell.
I think so.
I thought Lonte was doing Wednesdays now. That's why I was.
Yeah, I think you and Terrell tomorrow.
Okay, cool. So I'm back tomorrow, hopefully recapping another sweep. But either way, can't complain. Let's make some money tonight.
Yep. Hopefully we have a good week here. I know All-Star break right around the corner here, of course. So we'll talk about All-Star weekend picks as far as events go once we do see some odds. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. All right, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and always remember to let it ride.
Basketball, give it.